right? Where, okay, you're going to abandon the Constitution. Well, I'm going to stick to it. That makes me better than you, right? But like, I'm tired of that conversation, and it's a thing where it's like, for me, like, it is fun to have a good faith discussion about the Constitution and a good faith analysis in different ways and figure out those. But it's just, I just don't feel like I get to have those conversations anymore. And I'll be honest, for me, whenever I'm talking to other people that are having a good faith, like, and I generally like if I'm talking with
Very
you,
city.
and I generally agree with your takes about the Constitution, and I know you're
Snow
good faith,
style.
I'm probably not also not going to have that conversation because it's like I'll agree with you,
Sus.
Pisco, because like I'm the amount of granularity between us is small enough
Jesus.
that I'm just happy to have an ally at this point. And whenever I talk to other people who are like, you know what, like the 14th Amendment was about the slaves and their children, and it's just like, come on, how am I having this conversation right now? So like, yeah, that's why, like, I don't know, at times like like going back to what I was talking about at the beginning with the historical thing, it's just like it feels like it's
I feel like Pisco would be the kind of person who is pedantic enough to try to argue that that the Civil War was over states' rights and it wasn't over slavery. Like, wouldn't you be able to make an argument using Pisco's tactics and using Pisco's like logic in order to argue that the Civil War was about states' rights? I feel like you would, because you're pedantic enough, right? Like, if you're pedantic enough, you would be like, you know what? It was about states' rights. It was about states' rights. It was about... No, motherfucker. It's about slavery. Anyway, what can you
one of
do?
those things where it's just like it's one of those things where it's so obvious that
I really hope that artist who watches Food Chops feels inspired by chat tonight. Well, it depends on which artist you're talking about. I think I have multiple artists who watch me. I think somebody who isn't in here anymore, the person who drew like lollycorn, okay? I listen, okay? That person's special, all right? Expunged, I think. And I think another person is who else watches me? Oh, Naidi scopes like 3D, ironically enough, corn sculptures, which is super fucking cool. I think that's like one of the coolest things ever. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's some other artists in there's some other artists who watch me, but good luck.
I am no longer letting people use the like, oh, these people are uninformed, or oh, these people are stupid. No, the
The guy who's responsible for your current profile picture is expunged? Yes. Yeah.
the extent to which they are wrong is such
Yes.
that it could only be bad faith in my mind. I don't. Maybe do you feel that way? I feel like at this point, I cannot view any of these people as stupid, as uninformed, or anything like that. I can only see them as bad
Pisco. Oh no,
faith.
don't do
I
that.
think there are some contexts in which it matters and some in which it doesn't. So I don't
Actually,
really want to spend a bunch
sleepy
of
girl.
time with nobodies talking about like why the Constitution matters if they
Right.
like fundamentally don't give a shit about it. Like, for example, Groypers don't give a shit about the Constitution. And if you were to be like, but it says right here, you know, it says,
Yeah.
it'd be like, well, who
Right.
the fuck cares that it says, right? Like, we want a religious, establishment, bitch. Like, that's at a certain point, if they're nobodies, it's like, okay,
Yeah, food
I'm never
shop.
going
Right.
to convince you of that. And at a certain point, we might as well just be talking philosophy and morality, right?
Don't know.
Here's though cases in which I
Yeah.
think, notwithstanding the fact that they're bad faith and you don't give a fuck, why I think you should talk about it. Nonetheless, an example of this is like Tim Pool. I will always, whenever
Where?
I'm on a Tim Pool thing,
Where's the locked door?
get him to concede. Oh, so you don't care about the law? You care about what the Constitution says?
Right.
Should
Okay.
we follow the
All
Constitution?
right, I have a key.
Because even though I know he doesn't give a shit,
Oh, I've got a key too. But,
these phrases.
Never mind. I
nothing else
guess
than
it's
that,
okay.
These phrases, these
So cute.
rituals.
I love these
saying the
little
Constitution
guys,
matters,
little boyos.
still have purchase on people's brains. That normal people watching
Yeah.
something, if
These
they
little
hear them
players
say, "I don't
who are
care what
being
the
cute.
Constitution says, we're still going to follow it. I mean, we're not going to follow it." I think normal people looking at that, they feel something is wrong. If there's enough muscle memory, there's enough like.
I think this is like Pisco's white whale, isn't it? Like, you just kind of feel it intrinsically. Like, you feel as though like he'll never let go of this because, I don't know, like there's some part of him that was just like never let go, you know? It's kind of sad, to be honest.
Repetition of the memes that it's not a conceptual
This is
embrace
white
of the
whale,
Constitution. It's
Ahab. you know?
muscle memory. It's physiological.
Oh shit!
aversion
Oh,
to
that was a mistake.
Comments that are disparaging the
Okay.
Constitution. And in the context of people who actually have a big audience, I think getting them to say things like, I don't care what the Constitution says, or, yeah, it's illegal, but I don't care,
come on.
it can be effective, notwithstanding the fact that you know them to be bad faith.
Yeah. Well, and I actually,
Dude.
I agree with you, and I
You can't-
I
you can't
would
deal with
say
me,
there's a
dude.
step
You can't
further
deal with
even
me.
with that. If you can, if it's possible to have that part of the conversation, because often if you get to that
Little
point,
arc
a lot of
raiders,
times
yeah.
conversations start to kind of break apart
You're a little
because they sometimes they'll
cutie.
realize what they've said, or they'll just be so amped up they're kind of on their own high. But like
Lil Misaki.
for me, if I get a person to that point, right? Let's say they say, "Well, I don't care what the Constitution says. We're just going to do it." I've done where it's like, well, then that means that you think there's such a threat to us that we need to disregard the Constitution, right? You think that there's something that's so bad that disregarding the Constitution is bad. What do you think that is? And then that kind of breaks into a kind
Is
of...
that a bombardier in this
can
sense? I think
you
that
can
is.
sometimes get into a reality argument. Like I was talking with somebody and I said, if someone votes for Trump, they are either an uninformed voter or they are committing like an ethical wrong. And he got upset with me because he's like, we can be informed and vote for Trump. And I said, how? How could you be informed and vote for Trump? He's like, well, what if they think asylum, all these people that are coming in on asylum, it's hurting the country? And I'd say,
Berry City isn't that bad, okay?
How is it hurting the country?
I like this map.
And why would they vote for Trump because of that, right? And you turn it into a kind of like,
It's certainly better than Spaceport. Holy shit, Spaceport is cancer.
Because I might not even say, you're wrong for saying that the Constitution doesn't matter. Okay, you say the Constitution doesn't matter because it's something so bad. Let's talk about that thing that's so bad, because in that case, I've had it where it's like they have a very hard time articulating because they're hoping.
Why am I missing?
Everybody else in the conversation just kind of assumes
I missed
there
way
is something
too
bad
many.
out there, and it is justified, right? But they've never actually had to articulate it, or when they do articulate it, it comes out kind of goofy, or it doesn't quite hit, or it's provably wrong, and that has helped kind of also further push that point home that this person doesn't care about the Constitution. Here's the reason they're giving, it's bad. So clearly there's something else that they're not telling us of why they want that. So that was kind of something that I saw. And to be fair, I didn't do this on like a big live stream or anything. It was just kind of interpersonal discussions I've had. That's like I've been seeing. Like I think you're right that is a good thing to get them to say. But there is a follow-up that then kind of pushes them further to kind of like admit that what they just said isn't justified, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there is a way that you can try to approach a conversation about why you should care about the Constitution, but it's at the level of philosophy, as opposed.
It is. No, you're right.
It's at the level of philosophy and like emotion and that kind of stuff.
You're approaching like
talking about?
presuppositionalism, where it's just like this thing is good because
This
it's
isn't
good, and
Ethan
it's
Klein.
Like, yeah,
The fuck?
Yeah.
You gotta find the way to get them to care. But yeah, and also, hey, I didn't catch the second half of it, but I heard that you watched all of the G&G podcasts I appeared on. I thanks for doing it.
No, but you
And
shouldn't
you
have
agreed with all of my takes. And you were so happy.
No, I don't understand this. Like, this view you guys have that like any legally valid lawsuit, you don't care if it's filed or not, or that
This
you don't
is
think
the
there
most
ought to be ethical
stupidest.
judgments about it. I almost think
What the
practically
fuck?
every action, there's a potential ethical question.
Yo!
That's interesting, and I just don't
Yo, that
understand this
fireball. What the
agnosticism.
fuck?
Or
I think
it's not even agnosticism; it's indifference.
And what?
I think to me,
The AI is funny, dude.
to make a bringing a non-frivolous lawsuit. We got to say it that way.
Yeah,
Bringing
but
a
can we just pause though?
lawsuit.
Can you explain why you would have an ethical problem with bringing a frivolous lawsuit? Why?
I think for me, with a frivolous lawsuit, there's
Yeah, why is it bad, right? Because can I just give you an example?
So the way sure,
I want to give you an example. So, like, imagine that Ethan did have a frivolous lawsuit against Denham's case. What would be wrong about that?
To me, it's him not having. He's essentially lying to employ the judicial system.
Well, Special Snowflake. Hello. Wait, who are you again in the server? I remember that you were a server member or some shit. I forgot which one. But the reason why frivolous lawsuits are bad is because the person with more money could is essentially utilizing lawsuits and the legal process as a way to harass somebody, right? That's what you're doing. You're essentially forcing somebody to give up money in order to hire a lawyer, even though you know personally that the lawsuit isn't going to go through, right? Even though you know personally you're not going to win. You have the money to do something, and you hit them with a lawsuit that they cannot pay for. So then, yeah, but then that's why anti-slap laws exist, right? So then it prevents like bogging down you with paperwork. Like that's the thing. Catsy? Oh yeah, okay. At least it's a cute name.
To his own ends, okay, without any legal basis to do so.
Wait,
right?
no, but
the government is saying
wrong.
we are permissively
Wait,
letting you use our power if you have these things.
Shit.
Right? The government's saying we have a monopoly on power. We're letting you use it if one of these prerequisites exists, and if you're lying to get access to that power, then I think that is an unethical thing to do.
It's unethical because you're lying to the government.
I think it's kind of like it's a form of like corruption essentially, except that it's like of an individual rather than of the government itself. It's like an individual acting in a corrupt way and then co-opting the government's power to enforce something that they shouldn't be able to do, right? So it's kind of a bizarre, like that's how I view it. It's a person committing essentially a fraud in order to use the power of the government against another person or company or whatever.
But it's wrong in virtue of its undermining of what the goals were with respect to the legislative cause of action or the cause of action imposed by the legislature.
I think that's a fair way to put it. Sure, but the issue is not that necessarily that I'm not fixating on the person's intent as far as like their intent is to use it this way. It's the intent to lie to the government is my issue.
But that's what I'm saying. Like you could bring a frivolous lawsuit not knowing it's frivolous, in which case I'm sure you wouldn't say that's ethically wrong.
Wait, it's already
dead. It was a strong
case. Well, I don't think that the issue is I don't think you could. Well, I don't know if
you wouldn't call that way. Can we just say you would not?
I don't know if I'd call that frivolous case.
Hang on a second. Yes, you would.
If you bring a case that you don't know is frivolous,
but I
don't think I would call that unethical.
Right.
No.
So
if
the only thing
know it is.
Yes. So the only thing that distinguishes the ethics regarding someone who brings a frivolous case, is someone who someone who knows it and someone who doesn't know it, is their intent and knowledge. Right?
Watching this convo on Destiny stream today was painfully slow and pedantic. Oh, you watched this on stream? Nice.
Sure. Right. So that is in other words, it's critical to determine whether or not bringing a frivolous lawsuit is wrong. By which I mean it was a wrong act for this person to do to get into their mental head.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Basically, all of our culpability doesn't really turn. It doesn't turn really on the fundamental legality. You know, it turns on legality plus intent in this case, in the frivolous case.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Sure, yes, it's not strictly legal. You're right. It's strictly the frivolousness, or whatever you would say is, whether or not a case could be classified as frivolous without intent. In the context of the conversation, you would have to have the intent of knowing this is frivolous, bringing it, and then doing it. If it's a legal case.
Yeah, but keep in mind, again, it's not a frivolous lawsuit, right? The thing that Ethan Klein is doing. So I don't know why they're arguing on like what a frivolous lawsuit even means or like ways to counter a frivolous lawsuit. Because I thought that Ethan Klein, the entire point was that Ethan Klein had a case, right?
All right, then you can't. It's not possible to possess the intent that would make it a frivolous case that's unethical.
All right,
right? So you can't. You wouldn't be able to have that.
In virtue of that, no. But let's just take stock right there. So we're taking stock. So in the context of a frivolous lawsuit, intent is in order to judge whether it was morally correct or not to bring a frivolous case ethically. It requires one's an assessment about an actor's given mental state. Okay. Now, I don't say that just because mental states are relevant in that situation that they're relevant in every situation, but I'm just I'm noting here that even in the strongest possible situation in which a case is being brought that's dead wrong, that a measure of that actor's intent is required before we assess its rightness or wrongness. And I basically think that the vast majority of moral harms or ethical wrongs are, require some assessment there as to mental states. And I'm just curious, why would you assess ethics in the context of frivolous lawsuits, but not in the context of non-frivolous lawsuits? Seems like a weird place to stop ethically considering things.
Here's the. I could do so. It's incredibly difficult for me to like. Gilmore outside of the podcast, he gave me, I can't remember them, I'm sorry, but he gave me like one or two where it was like, okay, maybe that's unethical. I think you could create a mental state in which bringing a legal lawsuit is unethical. I do think it's possible.
No, but that's not exactly.
It's so difficult.
Hang on a second. That's not the question. The question is,
industrial magnet.
You do consider the ethics, don't you, of strong legal cases, don't you?
Well, here's the deal. It's the answer is yes, but 99.9% of times, I don't see an ethical issue with the case.
That might be
so you're right. I do, but there's just it's a case where it's so rare that there would be an ethical issue. It's like brushing my
like
teeth
Steven's case, right?
It's just like I guess there could be an ethical consideration here, but it just
asking the question.
It's so hard to imagine a time when it might come up that I wouldn't really spend time thinking about it. That's how I am with it.
Okay, I think that that's great. What I don't appreciate, though, is when people are like, who cares whether it was ethical to bring this lawsuit? That's what I don't understand. Why would we stop caring about it?
That's for 2 years?
I think for me, I think there's a lot of ways to describe it, because I'm not an H3 fan. I've never understood. Whenever he was friends with Hassan, I wasn't a fan. When he stopped being friends with Hassan, before he met Hassan, I've never seen anything with him that would make me want to really watch more of him. So I don't really understand that guy. And the other people that are involved in this, similarly, I've not seen anything that really makes me like those people. So there's not like either side that I like. However, I think it's easy to look at the situation and
Did I take that on?
Ethan is acting in a way.
I think I need to play smart.
Mean or callous or all of these. I think it's easy to do that. I think just for me, I think that whenever you add the layer of legality, the lawsuit itself, I don't know how much I can put that in. I can think that a lot of things he said or done maybe could reach the realms of unethical or just
go back in.
So mean that it's just unnecessary and therefore unethical. But I
6 entrees to cook? Oh, do you serve at a restaurant?
Here's the other side of it for me, real quick, is
1, 2.
The deal is that
4,
he has
5,
some
6,
amount of there's some liability out there that he's allowed to go and collect against that these people have incurred, and they have said we don't have that liability, and so he's here to prove that it exists so that he can collect on it. And I think that a person bringing a lawsuit trying to prove that there's a liability exists that they can collect on, it's hard for me to see that being unethical, because it's like this person is saying, I have been wrong. I want to prove it in the most clear-cut and fair way that we have in our system possible, and I want to get compensated for it. And part of that is him saying, if I'm wrong, then I won't get anything. And so it's kind of a thing where I think that there's not the part of it to reach the unethical aspect is that you have to kind of do this consideration of the lawsuits can be expensive and these people might not have the money to do it, and these people
I don't think I can sustain this fight, not without
is there another
more
aspect to it that's unethical to you
weapons.
that you
Yes, but
where you're coming from?
I kind of view everything you just did as
that's a Rocketeer. Definitely avoid that one.
A giant filibuster. You just said a bunch
but where's the unethical part?
Yeah, no, I'm happy to do that, but I get frustrated because everything you just said was kind of descriptive statements.
You're stuck on a desert island and you have to either Pisco or Erudite as your companion. Who do you pick and why? That's a tough question, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
It's about like why he would bring a lawsuit, about whether or not he has a case, about your specific.
You're asking real quick. You're asking me you asked me about an ethical analysis. I'm describing the different things that I look at, and I'm trying to find the part where this ethical analysis would bring me back a response of unethical.
Yeah,
So those are all the things that I'm looking.
So
at.
let's. So
And I'm not seeing.
I'm assuming the following, right? Like, I assume you would be against a lawsuit, or your determination about whether it's ethical to bring, is somewhat dependent on its outcome.
I'm using its kin's. I'm using its brother's dead husk as cover.
Yes.
I'm so evil.
Well, I'll give you just a quick. So when you say tentatively yes, I get frustrated because it seems like trivially yes. So I'll give you the following question: if imagine you're in the room with Ethan and you have perfect knowledge that if he files a lawsuit, all the defendants will end their lives, and he asks you, should I file it? What would you say?
I would say don't file it.
In virtue of what should they not file it?
Well, I placed because I don't think anybody's life is worth a lawsuit. And to be clear, this is speaking as a person who has
Yeah, boy.
Suicide on one side because of a lawsuit. So I have experience with that personally.
So on your view, it would be
no lawsuit is worth killing.
So on your view, it would be wrong in that hypothetical, right?
Yes. Though we're
in virtue of its consequences, right?
Well, yeah.
Oh my god,
So
just
it's
die
not
already.
kind of, yeah, it would be the outcomes sometimes. Outcomes are
Nice.
part of
Hi.
your consideration regarding supporting any action. There?
I'm primarily utilitarian, so yeah.
Right.
But you're saying again. I feel like this is more lining up with what I said before, where you can create scenarios in which I could have it. It's just these are so rare that it's something that I don't know.
No, at this point, we're just talking about what goes into one's
Right.
consideration regarding the ethics of a particular lawsuit. And I'm just getting clarity that outcomes are one such thing that one would look at, right?
No, wait. Can I ask you? This is just a real quick thing.
Wait. Can you agree with that?
Based on the
first?
question you asked me.
I get
Yes,
frustrated,
yes, I can.
man.
I
Like,
can.
people
Yeah.
accuse me of
No.
trying to.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
But let me turn this around. Let's say you were an attorney of H3, and we can forget all the other stuff that's going on. But attorney of H3, and you believe that this lawsuit is going to severely harm the defendants, and H3 says, I want you to sue these people for me. Would you as an attorney say, no, you're going to need to go find another attorney?
If it crossed some ethical, my own personal motives, my own personal, you're asking me, would I file a lawsuit that I thought was ethically wrong?
What?
That's what you're asking, right?
Would you file this lawsuit? We can just do that. We don't need to do the suicide. This lawsuit that exists. If H3 came to you and said, I'm going to pay you whatever the amount that would, be fair to do this, and you don't have to make the Hitler petition. You can write actually a good one. Okay. I want to sue these 3 people, and this is all the stuff. And you look at it and you see these 3 people. And okay, these people are going to lose all their money, and they're probably going to have a really hard time with this all stuff. Would you turn to Ethan and go, I can't take this kind of case?
Yeah. So in general, I would say, if he came to me with this case, I would say, no. There are certain circumstances under, certainly not what the complaint was that he actually filed. I wouldn't put my name on that.
That took
brief.
fucking
Would you?
forever.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Be clear.
So-
no, I'm not.
But hey, I soloed it.
Obviously, that's an easy
Hooray, I
no.
guess.
So that's why I
Yeah.
took that one out, because I knew that's understandably no.
Yeah, I wouldn't put.
So
I wouldn't
happens
put
we
my
have
name
no
on
friends,
that
okay?
complaint. If I assessed that he were doing this because he cared about the infringement of his copyright, I would file it. For this,
Hey, all this loot is
But
mine,
his current
guys.
motivations.
But on current motivations, again, there are some circumstances
Good.
in which I might see that I would, but at least as I am currently on current motivations, no. Right? It would just be like,
Okay,
so let me give you
and
another
that's
example, right? Like, let's
that's
say that
fine. That's fine. No
that you
judgment on that.
knew,
I just wanted I wanted to hear you say it.
yeah. Let's think about like the DOJ situation, right? I'm sure plenty of DOJ employees who
All right.
have moral issues with some of the filings in this, like in what's going on in the DOJ, and you don't need to look to the James Comey case, because I know you wouldn't put your name on that, right?
No,
And I know you wouldn't. I
Yeah,
wouldn't.
go ahead,
Wait, let me keep going.
I'll let you finish.
There's a non-trivial legal argument regarding the
Ooh, I love my Bastion cells.
equitable power of the courts to order Kilmar back to the United States, right? There's a separation of powers issue
Right.
about the extent there. So non-trivial arguments there. I wouldn't put my name on those briefs, arguing that, the courts can't force Trump to do anything. And so, yeah, I operate in the world subject to, I'm subjecting myself to the ethical guidelines of attorneys, no doubt, professional conduct, but also ethics have to always be present.
Okay, all right, I think
it
that's
would
it.
be. I know you're probably taught this
off,
as
yeah.
well. Attorney-client privilege is very, very powerful protection, and it survives death.
Go find your way home.
And there's these cases in which a client told an attorney at clear attorney-client privilege that he was guilty for the murder of a person, and
Oh,
someone
I'm
else,
very familiar with this.
someone else was being charged for it, and the attorneys showed up to that hearing because they knew the guy was innocent. They knew the guy was innocent because their client had confessed to the murder, and they were sitting in that court, and the judge in that case was sentencing that situation. And I'm asking you, if the judge would have ordered for the person who's innocent to be executed, wouldn't you speak up? It violates your attorney-client privilege. But that
Wait, does
doesn't
he actually
mean that your
parrot
ethics
his
turn
girlfriend's
off.
opinions?
There are some things
Unironically?
that,
Or-
even that require you to take
I like a
action.
video of that? Oh, cool.
Certainly when it's not like required under the ethical guidelines. But there are some obligations that one have that even in the case in which the rules of professional conduct, right, need to
Not good, not good, not good. not good,
become
not good.
second next to those overriding ethical concerns. And so, yeah, what would you do if you knew the guy's innocent? They're about to put him to death. Would you speak up?
Yeah, like
Okay, good. We safe.
so I've actually been challenged with this in my ethics class. We went over this case, and I was like the only person that said no, and I probably still would say no. I would seek pardons. I would seek ways around it. At the hearing, speaking up would be the incorrect move.
But just change it so that
the
there's
legal theory around
there's
why I said wrong is sound to me. The reason why you should not speak up is a sound thing to me. The issue there is not me not speaking up. The issue is the system is not properly aligned.
yeah, but I could add consequences to it. Yeah, in this case is one person. Okay, maybe it's worth maintaining, but you can just add consequences there. And I'm sure that this is not a maxim that you would hold to, even like you wouldn't hold to attorney-client privilege if it meant the destruction of the republic. You wouldn't uphold attorney-client privilege if it meant the I'm not saying trivial concerns. I'm not saying
I
trivial.
think we need to get back to the subject. Oh my lord. Just please talk about the actual subject. Oh lord.
Sexual touching. I'm not gonna say me. If someone.
There you go. Yeah, let's depersonalize this.
Okay.
Pisco, you need to be like Hutch and just play some Ark instead of talking about this another 10 hours. It's the holidays. Enjoy yourself. True.
Someone's on the street. They see a woman walking down the
I'm
street.
relaxing, okay? And it's
And
not even because it's the holidays.
this
I'm
person-
just fucking chilling, okay?
Takes their penis out to put that woman in fear of an imminent sexual touching.
What?
But that other woman,
Imminent what now?
she doesn't take it that way. She's just a very strange and eccentric woman. Is that person harassing the woman? He tried to make her uncomfortable.
That's a really hard
Yes.
question.
Yes.
I don't know if I would say. I don't know if I would easily.
Could you
say
arrest
yes to
that person?
I don't know.
Did you arrest that person for harassment? You could.
You're getting into a legal question here.
Yeah.
Right,
I'm
no.
not discussing.
Okay,
right
so
now.
in what sense are they not harassing? Or if you,
he's not getting arrested. Clear. He's not getting arrested for harassment. That's not what's happening there. Okay, he's getting arrested for attempted sexual assault, or attempted flashing, or indecent exposure.
Flashing.
This is not harassment that he's getting arrested for. I understand
Okay.
what you're saying here.
So
you can attempt to
hang on a
harass
second.
somebody,
So-
but if
so-
that person does not respond that way,
I love Kafka,
if
dude.
he did that and that woman turned around and then started performing sexual acts on his exposed penis, would you say that that woman is harassed, or would you say that maybe she
Why
consented
was
to all
it
this
even
now
brought
and
up?
everything's
I
fine?
don't understand.
What would you say in that scenario?
The harassment
Yes.
occurs at the time of the conduct.
Why is this
Agreed?
being talked about, bro?
I personally,
Okay.
I would not put it that way. I could say
that-
that a sexual assault happened. I could say that indecent exposure happened. Harassment, to me, requires the harassed person to feel harassed, or else it is not harassment. That is how I view it. Maybe that's a personal definition and view of it, but that is
It
how
is- that doesn't make any sense.
Why not?
Content. This is some wacky
These are- I
ass
promise
content, bro.
This is a good faith question. I am trying to understand where you're coming from and understand your perspective on this. This
To
is not
understand
me
Pisco,
trying to
where
win an
Pisco is
argument
coming
here.
from.
I'm genuinely trying to understand
luck.
your perspective on this.
So we measure the
Penis.
whether something represents that from listen,
I'm very mature.
harassment is a word. I know, I understand that you want to use a more colloquial definition of it. It is a legal term, but
Yeah, so if we want to get away from that legal term
Regardless-
and say he felt under threat, we can say that.
I want to finish this harassment thing. Why do you want to
That's
get
fine.
off of it? This is what's
Because
so,
we're having
this is-
trouble with the word harassment. And I don't have an issue using it.
You
You are
wouldn't.
saying that for you, the definition is creating a lot of questions that I'm not trying to make. I'm not trying to compare it to this legal stuff. I'm not trying to bring that in. I'm trying to say that to him, he felt as though the environment of these people were such that he felt like he was in some kind of danger, whether that was economic or otherwise. There was some danger
Okay, finally, the argument. Let's
coming
go.
from that community.
I'm
such
ready.
That
My
he
ass is
created a
ready.
trap so that
Give
he
it to
could
me.
bind
Hard.
them to some
Sorry.
liability, so he could sue
That's too
and
far.
harm them.
Why are we
That
even
is
having
what
this
I-
conversation?
And I think that is. I think that,
Do you
I think that
understand?
agrees with what you think.
It is so frustrating having these conversations, and when the minute we're trying to get clarity on a view, the person I'm talking to just backs up and explodes the nature of the inquiry, such that you've just gave a rendition of like overall how Ethan feels. The whole point of these conversations is to try to get clarity, and it seems like we are trying to drill down.
Yeah, but how Ethan feels has to do with how ethical the actual lawsuit is, right? Because if Ethan feels as though he is, like, let's just say Ethan was completely insane and he feels as though he has been placed in a self-defense situation. If he feels as though he's been placed in a self-defense position, then it justifies any kind of lawsuit that he would give out to, like, be against other people, right? Like, just to be very clear here. Like, doesn't that kind of justify everything? Because if he's been placed, if his mindset is that he's been placed in a, like, even if he was completely paranoid, right? Like, fine, I'll grant you that, like, he's completely paranoid and crazy, okay? Even if that's the case. And honestly, that wouldn't be too far from the truth. Ethan is not really looking well these days. But it's just that, I mean, then you would have to concede that, well, he's acting in good faith, right? Because again, we're contending with whether or not he is acting in good faith. I mean, he has to be acting in good faith in that case, right? Because again, this entire claim comes from dishonesty. I think there is dishonesty when it comes to Caseytron. I don't think there's dishonesty when it comes to whether or not he has an actual case or whether or not this is a slap suit or some shit.
On the kinds of conduct that could have motivated him
Was
to
he not
sue.
always
And
a
it seems like
coughing,
this term
taking
harassment
mess?
is
No, not like
important
this.
to people's
This is
notions.
different.
And rather than
Not
take
like
the time
this.
to get
Not like
clarity
this,
on what
okay?
you understand harassment to be, you just stopped doing that, threw your hands up, and just gave up. Why'd you do that? This is an
Because
important
I
concept
told
to people.
you what I understand harassment to be, and you said that you're going to argue with me about the definition of harassment. What I'm telling you, how I am using it here.
Okay, so-
You're saying this is what harassment means, and I'm telling you, Pisco, when I said harassment in this situation,
Okay, so
I
let's
was
get
using this
let's
definition.
get clarity on
and
it.
you're saying that definition is not correct.
Okay, so let's get clarity on your view. Okay, why not do that then? Let's get clarity on it. I still don't understand it. I'm going to ask you what you mean, because if this is an
Moderately
important
reduces per
concept,
shot
shouldn't we
dispersion?
get clarity on what it means?
He was a wreck before the whole leftovers arc. Yeah,
If-
no, he's a complete wreck right now.
The
dude.
definition that you've provided me is one that
Forget
I am
about
not
my definition.
willing to
Forget
use.
about
This
it.
is
Okay,
okay.
forget
Now it's a
about it.
30,000
Then
renegade.
why can't we just
Holy
use the one
shit.
where I just
I
said
know
he
he had
felt like
Tourette's?
he was in
Oh,
danger?
really?
That's
I
what
thought
I
it
was
was pretty
trying
obvious.
to say by using the term harassment.
Okay,
is that a
because-
bad? Is it's not
is-
usable now?
Yeah. So because if what you mean by harassment is he felt in danger,
The
and that's
some
all you mean by
motherfuckers going to the
harassment,
sentiment.
it's going to be a
True.
huge issue, man.
True.
Okay.
Okay.
You don't think he
sorry,
felt like he was
sorry,
in danger?
Kafka.
I'm
I
not
didn't mean to
saying
mock
that.
you like that.
You understand what the
Okay.
I love you.
what
Okay.
the issue is? If what you say harassment is,
Do you think that I was giving away some kind of like subconscious?
It's clear Kafka was a public defense attorney at one point because he literally defended like actual predators and pedophiles, right? As his previous occupation. This is what he did. And then after he had a kid, he stopped and he moved on to, I think, a government related job that he will not like disclose what it is. But yeah, before he was a fucking predator pedophile defense attorney, okay? Based.
Like
Good for you.
assessment by using the word harassment? Do you think that that's what just happened? That I had a Freudian slip?
But I'm
I
not
said
sure if
harassment.
I'm
I
not
didn't
yeah.
mean.
But again, all right, like put some respect on Kafka's name, okay? He's a legitimate defense attorney, okay? He's a legitimate defense attorney in criminal court, all right? Put some respect on my man's name, all right?
bro.
Then
When I'm just trying to get clarity on the view. People say harassment, and if what you mean by harassment is only, maybe you could say it's not only. I'm just trying to understand this concept because you agree
Accused
this
predators?
concept
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
important, right? Harassment.
Sure.
I think it's important in some conversations. I do not think it is important in this conversation.
Eh.
I don't know how it's important because all
If
it
it's
means.
Would you rather have Kafka or Pisco? Of course, Kafka.
The
context
basis.
of-
Besides,
I
he's
said.
cuter.
Is that it means that he felt like he was in some kind of danger?
Kafka worked with regular
Do you think
people?
that do you think that a person
I
that is
don't-
being
I don't
harassed
know. I
feels
don't-
like they are in some
I don't
kind of
know.
danger?
Actually.
Do you think that's part of harassment?
Not necessarily. No.
Okay. Then clearly
That's
I
my that's
used
my
the wrong word.
Yeah, that's my understanding. But I just want to get clarity on your view, and I'm asking you, basically, is the concept important to you in how you assess what's going on? Is the concept of harassment important to you for the purpose of analyzing it?
No, it is not.
Okay,
Uh-oh.
so then you would agree, therefore, that someone being harassed, on your view, that would not be a justification to do the lawsuit we're talking about. Because you're saying it's not important. If it's not important, why should we
Kafka
assess
is
it?
losing
Why
his
should I
patience.
address it?
It's over, dude. You've never seen Kafka mad.
I don't
He's
think
gonna
you
get mad
should
now.
because it's not the right word to use in this
Oh, no.
context.
No,
Instead, the
I
word
just
I'm
want the
going to use is
concept.
he felt like he was in danger.
Okay. So that concept is important. The feeling of being in danger, right?
Yes.
Okay. That concept's important. When you say danger, you mean physical danger?
Boy.
He possibly. I don't know what messages he's received.
No,
I would bet
I'm
a
asking
lot
what-
of money he received death threats. So yes, I would bet he felt some level of physical danger.
I'm
Ace!
not asking what he felt. I'm saying the concept that you're
Done.
deploying. That someone feeling in danger.
Now
that
all the
danger
workshops are
encompasses
upgraded.
What
Let's go.
exactly? The danger of physical harm?
Physical, monetary, psychological, familial, all of these things. All of this form of danger.
Okay, but that can't be a basis for the law. Yeah, that by itself, as you've described there, if
Why
one of
can't
those
it be?
interpretations that is psychological danger, if that is the mere basis of a lawsuit, the other problem is going to be, subjective assessments as to.
Wait, hold on. But we're not talking about psychological. Hold on. Oh my god. We're not talking about psychological danger in the sense of like, oh well, I feel sad. Like I like this person threatens me. So then I feel sad, right? Like we're talking about like, I would imagine suicidality, right? Or documented cases of like paranoia, documented cases of schizophrenia, right? Where we're talking about like really severe shit, right? Because again, there is a high burden of proof when it comes to anything mental health related when it comes to court, okay? Like it isn't just, oh, you feel sad and that's it, right? Or oh, you just happen to be depressed. You need to provide like medical records, you need to provide counselor records, you need to be able to provide a lot of things in order to justify, I don't know, some kind of legal argument or legal standard when it comes to mental health. Okay, like it isn't just TikTok shit. Like you need to actually prove it really well. So like this trivializing this Pisco trying to trivialize like the whole like argument behind behind like that shit is weird to me at best. Because yeah, no, like you can definitely argue for there to be a mental health danger as long as you can substantiate it. Like I mean that I guess that would depend, right? Like in that case, would Ethan Klein be able to draw like point A to point B to from point B to point C on his mental health affecting his financial income or something? Like for example, like can he provide proof that he missed extra, like ever since the whole thing went down, that he missed extra appointments, or he went to appointments even more often, and that's why he was unable to do like several business related ventures that provided an opportunity cost of some kind. I would imagine the precedence would be something like that, right? Again, it's very hard to prove, but it's not like it doesn't exist, right? To pretend that, I mean, to trivialize this just seems a little silly, I guess. But
Psychological danger. So I could give you a situation in which someone, subjectively feels that the criticism is being generated on political things is psychologically damaging them, and that's all it would take for you to be okay with a lawsuit that has nothing to do with that. Then we're just, it's too loose. It's too broad.
what do you mean it's too loose?
Wait. So you're saying
no, there is a mental health. Oh my god, there is a mental health proving standard. Shit. Oh my god. Because he obviously won all of his cases. No, I think the last time I asked Kafka about his cases, he said that he was undergoing 2 cases at that time, and it was coming to closure. I think he won one and he lost one. So yeah, that's pretty good actually. He won one and he lost one. Well, his team. Okay, not just him. Okay, his team. All right, because it's a whole team. Not just him. I would assume. That's my assumption. Okay.
it's wrong. So like someone gets harmed is feeling psychological harm, and so they're using like a lawsuit to try to get people to fuck off. Then you think that's wrong
on issues unrelated to the source of the harm, right? I feel so. For example, right, take the bold guy video itself.
You're not.
I bought some hard tacos.
From the argument I was making. The argument I was making is that he felt like the actions that they took post nuke, like the call and those other things, were a continuation in the pattern of actions that came before it. All right.
You just
and I think that a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah, you just.
I said that at the very beginning of the argument.
So you just backed up again. The whole like
at the very beginning of the segment, I said these are a continuation of a pattern of behavior in the minds of the people that disagree with you, and I would say likely in the mind of H3.
I'm trying to respect your view, right? I'm trying to respect your argument, and if I can't understand what is causing you to have a disposition one way or the other, it's impossible for me to be respectful to your view. And so when you back up and talk about course of conduct before we've understood the full implications or even meaning of this feeling like they're in danger, then you understand that it makes the conversation futile. I can't. This concept is clearly important to you, and I can't address it because A, I don't understand it, and B,
thank you.
You don't have like a full elaboration of it. So backing up and talking about the course of conduct is just a way to filibuster. Unfortunately, I'm not saying that's your intent. I'm just like, I am trying to be respectful.
Well, like, what are you trying to cut to that this is getting
moved? Did it go up? No, I haven't moved yet. I'm waiting until the year's over before moving. Because who the fuck is moving during the holidays? Like, who the fuck is looking? Who is vacating places during the holidays?
Psychological damage.
That's not happening.
A proper purpose to bring the lawsuits that are totally unconnected to the source of that harm, then that would justify pretty much anything. It's too loose.
Thank you,
It's just basically your
Better than me, but the military
subjective
making
feeling
me.
of harm. It's
Oh.
basically
Oh, you're from the military?
rebranding
Cool.
and reconstructing
What do you do?
moral faults from other actors. And instead of thinking about the intentions and
Wait, they allow you
dispositions
to
of the
access
people
the
who are at
internet?
fault for those moral wrongs,
I'm kidding,
it's
joking.
all about the subjective head of the purported victim. And no matter how well-meaning, now I'm not saying they're well-meaning, but no matter how well-meaning the critics are, they are going to be subject to certain tactics.
A lot of people
even
prepare
if
around this
they're
time.
doing nothing that's morally harmful.
Hacking
I'm not
things,
saying they're
finding
not
location.
in the real world, but
Oh.
your standard
Air Force computer
of
stuff, no
subjective
set. Oh,
beliefs of
okay,
danger is untenable. There needs to be some way to incorporate the culpable conduct of others separate from the subjective view of the victim.
All right. Okay. Pisco, I love you, and I'm sorry if this is about to end this conversation because genuinely, what you just said to me sounds like such a filibuster. You are telling me that people coming to the legal system with subjective beliefs shouldn't bring lawsuits.
That's not
When
what I
the whole
said.
point of the 1 second, the whole point of a lawsuit is that you have a subjective view of a situation and you need a third party to fact finder to sort it out and tell you if
Didn't
it's
end the
good or
convo.
not.
Of course it didn't.
That is now
He-
you
That's
can
not
tell me.
what I
Well, there's this
said.
He insulted
subjective
Pisco's
view that's
ego.
not
It's
related
over.
to the lawsuit, and so then that's the problem that they're bringing. Okay, fair
Wait,
enough.
no,
I'm moving
wait,
during the
like,
holidays.
Subjective
Huh.
ideas
Not
are
what
the
I
basis
said.
of lawsuits.
Kidding.
No,
I love you. Or
do you
I?
think we're talking about what descriptively is the basis of lawsuits? What is it that you think that we're talking about?
Right now, we're talking about why H3 could have brought this lawsuit and whether it's good or not, and whether that's an ethical thing for him to do or not. And
Right,
I'm
so-
saying, I think he brought this lawsuit because he felt some level of danger towards his ability
Why is
to
Pisco
make
doing
money
this during the
as an online
holidays?
streamer.
Why is he
I think
addicted
that's
to
true.
torture?
And I think
his
that
ego
that
knows no
is
bounds.
sufficient for him to bring a copyright claim in this manner. That's it. That's A to B to C for me.
So you don't want to actually have the conversation. You just totally mischaracterized my view about what
I
it
didn't.
was.
No, I just told
Wow.
you my view.
Yes.
That's what I did.
Yes,
So-
guilt
so
If you
trip
have a problem with
more.
that, you can internally
Yes.
critique it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
do have a problem with that view. Okay. So, does the feeling that the subjective feeling that you're, why did you laugh there?
What? He's not allowed to
I'm
laugh?
just- no. Whenever I said okay and I laughed, sorry, I'm a little amped.
Oh my god,
we're
dude.
conflicting
Oh
each other,
my
so-
god,
subjective,
Pisco. Oh
we'll see.
my
Is
lord.
the subjective feeling
Loser. Loser
of-
energy.
incoming financial damage from true and vicious critique that is accurate, right? We're just,
Oh shit.
this is a hypothetical.
Okay.
And the desire to silence that true vicious critique and silence future criticism, does that justify, on the basis of potential future monetary harm, this lawsuit? Right. So
Nice,
the
thank
example I'm
you.
giving 'cause
Yay!
You said subjective belief as to harm regarding monetary compensation with their streams. Does the pure motive to silence critics that would have an effect on bottom lines, would that justify this copyright lawsuit?
No. For just silencing critics, no. I would not.
But what if the theory? What if someone says to you, the reason I'm silencing the critics is because if I
Silencing critics makes no sense. Otherwise, Ethan Klein would be dishing out lawsuits to far more people. I think you need to show evidence for that. Because if he was trying to dish out shit, why the fuck would he go after Caseytron and Denims then, right? That would make no sense. If he was just trying to silence critics. Why wouldn't he go for the biggest fish? Why the fuck wouldn't he go for the biggest fish? It makes no sense. And that's why Pisco is bad faith, because it makes no sense. It makes no sense. If you're a smart person, you would understand that if you wanted to actually chill the scent, why the fuck would you go after smaller fish in the sea? Why wouldn't you go after the biggest fish? Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you go after the biggest fish? Why? Just, please, use some common sense. Like, hello? Anyway, sorry.
Don't. They will hurt my business.
Wow.
One second. Because in that scenario, what I would say is those are actors acting within a market, affecting you via tools of the market to harm your performance in the market.
Wow.
And that's meant to be just me being lawyer-brained on antitrust. But if you're acting within a market, you don't get to use a lawsuit to stop them from doing that. I think that for him, the monetary harms were not that these people were out competing him. I don't think that these people were somehow coming up with ways in which to better market to his audience to steal it. I think they were acting in ways that were counter or outside of market purposes.
These are all
And
rooted.
a lawsuit is the correct avenue to correct those things. That is literally
Can we
the
not
basis
back
of
up?
copyright law.
So if Ethan had
Wait, is he
said,
using
like,
1 HP
these
voice?
people are
Is
harming
Pisco
me,
using 1 HP?
with their criticism
Oh
and
no,
their
dude, it's over,
lies
dude.
about
It's
me,
we're really cooked
they're
this time.
like hurting the business. They're telling people that I'm
Uh-oh.
in favor of
1 HP Pisco.
genocide. They're lying about Ela, but all stuff that's protected. Okay, these people who are lying, these people who are spreading narratives about his political.
By the way, another way to interpret things is, again, notice the way that he's talking about these, right? There's two standards. Like, he gives infinite charitability to denims, but no charitability, and he automatically presumes malice on part of Ethan Klein, right? Like, the worst kind of malice, if anything, right? He doesn't give any of the plausible deniability to Ethan Klein. Like, there's double standards in even interpreting the case overall. That's how you know he's bad faith, right? Pay attention. You'll know. Yeah. Yo, Boris, thank you so much for the 5 gifted subs on YouTube. Thank you so much. You're very kind. Thank you. I'm glad that you're putting your Air Force programming dollars to usage. Okay, thank you.
Political beliefs. These people who are
He can
snarking
soul
him,
read
with
Ethan.
respect-
He can soul read Ethan, but no idea what Denims. Yeah, the difference is that Ethan has a soul and Denims doesn't. Okay, that's the difference.
criticism.
Boom.
If all of that were true, and Ethan says, "This is the reason I'm doing this is specifically to get them to stop the criticism, because it's hurting me psychologically and it's hurting my bottom line. And the way I'm going to do that is punishing individuals who are part of that criticism, part of what's saying if."
Could it be a little sexist?
If all of it's true, everything they're saying,
Maybe? I don't know. I don't want to go that
it's
far yet.
only
but-
the criticism, and he's saying,
Yeah, I don't want to go that
I
far yet.
hate that, so I'm going to sue him to try to get him to stop. That's what you're saying. This hypothetical is.
Yes.
1 second. I'm just thinking about it real quick
What the?
because I want to give you the answer that.
What does that
I
even?
feel.
What does that button even
Slow
mean?
down and think. I think in that scenario, I think it would be an
Hello?
it would be an unethical thing,
Bombardier.
especially based off of that motive. Okay, it would be
Right,
him
so-
saying, right, like we know the motive there. We're saying he's trying to silence good faith detractors who are bringing true criticism.
No,
against
no. In
him.
my example, it's
At least-
lies. In my example, some of
Oh,
it's
it's
lies.
lies?
Wow.
Yeah, some of it's lies.
Thank
some-
you, Obama.
some-
It's fine.
Wow,
No, but it's
Obama.
protected. It's part
Hello,
of
Obama. Obama.
I don't care. About
Hey, does anybody have
whether
a
or not it's
rev?
protected speech or not? He's not suing.
Anybody
them
have
for
a
their
rev?
speech. That's what the protection did. If it wasn't protected, he'd just
Help.
sue them for the speech.
Right.
It's protected, so they're lucky.
Oh
they
my
don't get
God,
sued for that, but then
Obama,
they do some kind of
why?
behavior that makes them vulnerable to
Obama,
liability.
why?
But fine, okay.
Help.
We're not
And they-
asking-
guess what? They get to keep saying
Does anybody have a
We're
rev?
not asking, can he sue?
Why did I say
No, I didn't say-
Obama?
I
What
said
the
it was
fuck?
fine. I said it's ethical that he sued. I didn't say can. I said it's good. Yeah, that's ethical.
So if
Those people. throughout
I'm in the
entirety
park.
of that
Does anybody
lawsuit,
have a
after
rev?
That lawsuit will get to keep saying those lies about him.
Dude, I feel so pathetic. I feel so pathetic doing this. Oh
that
my
would be-
God.
that would
Does
be
anybody
true
have
of
a?
the
Does
case
anybody
in
have a
which
rev?
They were saying true criticism.
Why did I?
trying to stifle
Why did I
those.
do that? Why did I
And
run out into the
that
open to fight a bombardier?
How is it?
Whoa!
How is he
Thank you!
stifling
You're
the
the
lies?
best.
How is he stifling the lies by this IP lawsuit?
You're now
fuck?
asking about the actual
Angel
case.
coming out of nowhere to save my ass. Holy shit!
Sure.
Why are you doing that?
listen,
An angel,
Why
an
do you
actual
ask-
angel.
you said- doing this?
If people are criticizing him with lies,
Came out of nowhere,
is it
disappears
okay
just
to
as
bring a
quickly.
lawsuit against them for IP infringement.
No.
Oh my
Wait,
God.
was that not the hypothetical?
I'm
That's
trying
beautiful.
to distinguish your view of when it's acceptable as a motivation.
Wait, is the
to
thing dead? Oh my God, it's
have
dead.
silencing criticism
What in the world?
to justify the lawsuit on the sort of idea that it would harm your
Come on,
bottom
move,
line
move.
and
Come
psychological
on, bomb to
damage. And you
yourself.
seem to
Bomb to
grant
yourself.
there's two
Bomb to
cases,
yourself.
right?
Come on.
That it would be
Don't
improper.
let that
in
thing
the case
notice
of,
you.
like, true statements
Don't let
that are
that thing
accurate in
notice
good
you.
faith,
Don't
but
let
it
that thing
Yes.
notice you.
would be
Come on.
justified
Come on.
if it's like
Don't let
bad
that thing
faith
notice you.
criticism.
Don't
And
let
I'm
that thing
seeing, like,
notice
yes.
you.
what-
Come
what
on.
is the
Don't let that
difference?
thing notice
Why
you.
are those
Don't
different?
let that thing notice you. Don't let that thing notice you. Don't let that thing notice
Because
you.
in one
Don't let that
case,
thing notice
people
you.
are acting in an unethical way.
Okay, it's
against
locking onto somebody else.
you. And I prescribe to the theory of tit for tat. And
Don't let
this
that thing lock onto you. Don't let
tat.
that thing lock onto
You're
you.
acting unethical
Don't
at
let that
me,
thing lock
but
onto
that
you.
doesn't- that
Don't let
I'm
that
going
thing
to
lock
act in a way
onto
that
you.
harms
Don't
you
let that thing
to
lock
get you
onto
to
you.
stop
Don't
acting
let that.
unethically
Don't
towards
let that thing lock
So why
onto
wouldn't that
you.
justify doing the
Obama.
frivolous
Oh, fine. You
lawsuit?
want to say Obama? Obama. Obama.
Because I
Obama.
think frivolous
Obama.
lawsuit goes
Obama.
beyond and is
Obama.
now acting in a way that
Obama.
is beyond
Obama.
the bounds
Obama.
of these
Obama.
actors are now
Obama.
involving a
Obama.
greater harm than merely just the
Obama.
right,
Obama.
It's
bad
Oh
not
shit!
enough.
Hold on.
That's what I mean. It's not enough to say that one side is doing a harm to another. You still have to.
Obama.
You still have to
Obama.
make some sort of argument about the response,
I believe proportionality does come into my understanding
right?
of
So,
how this
so,
stuff works.
so just saying, well,
Here,
they're doing
Kafka,
something
sorry.
bad against
My bad.
him, doesn't resolve the issue because that would be true of a frivolous lawsuit. It would be true
Run,
of
run,
hiring
run.
a hitman. It would be true of doing reverse CPS. It would be true of spreading lies. Like, you wouldn't justify. Do you think it would be justified? I'll ask you this: to spread lies about denims?
Uh, would H3 be justified in spreading lies against denims?
Yeah.
The question is yes. 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 H3 is justified in spreading lies about him because she also lies about him. Okay. If some motherfucker starts touching your kids, okay, you touch their kids. Okay, that sounds weird. Somebody call CPS. Okay, but you get my point. Okay.
That's as tit for tat as you can get, right?
Hell yeah.
Well, it is tit for tat. I actually.
Hell yeah,
I would
baby.
say when it comes to
Cap page
lying.
nice. Cap page nice.
No,
Cap
I
page
also
nice.
put lying
Cap
pretty
page
high
nice.
up
Yeah,
on like
so
a pretty unethical
This
thing.
is like what I don't understand, right? Because everyone kind of agrees that, or I think people agree,
Hell yeah.
that it wouldn't be justified in response to lies, criticisms. Again, you know, a lot of that's subjective in terms of the criticism with respect to the political stuff. But even assuming that's a lie, nobody seems to be willing to bite the bullet that it would be justified to lie in response. Some people might.
Yeah, but
What is this, Fortnite?
right. Okay, sure.
Right. So if it wouldn't be even justified to lie in response, why would it be justified to lie about a lawsuit and then actually file that lawsuit
So cute.
against that person? In what respect is that more proportional than just a direct lie?
I wish that Kafka bit on this bullet. I wish Kafka bit on this bullet. Yeah, it is justified to lie. Yes. The only reason why you would probably try not lying as a content creator is if you. I mean, also Ethan is not above lying either. Okay, like let's be very clear here. Okay, Ethan Klein is also not even above lying. All right, so let's not even. We're not even including that part. Okay, whatever. But yeah.
Wait, what do you mean?
He's
So what-
perfectly
so-
okay. Like,
So-
I mean,
Now,
he lied
wait,
multiple times.
This is a
okay?
fact question. This is a fact question.
Yeah.
Where the lie about the lawsuit? Tell me what you view as the lie about the lawsuit.
Wait, no,
because I
wait,
might not
wait,
be
wait, wait.
informed on this as
Yeah,
well. So.
okay, we will definitely get there.
What are you? Is this a hypothetical, or are you applying it to
So
the facts?
I
Pisco is truly even hiding his power level. He's blinded by eco food.
I think he actually lied, but getting into the
For me,
facts
he's actually
now,
malicious.
the reason why
No,
getting
it's
into the
not
facts
smart.
now
Oh!
will confuse the issue is we won't know your test. That's why we're using these hypotheticals, is to not establish some kind of like ad hoc test, but some kind of principled test. You want a principled test, don't you? You want a consistent framework, don't you?
Pisco, shut the fuck up.
For the most part,
Sorry.
yes.
In what respect don't you want a consistent framework?
You might want one that is a framework that is loose enough that allows a case-by-case basis, where you're merely balancing
Right, but
a
applying
number
a,
of factors.
yeah, but applying a consistent set of factors that are apt in the case and that are consistent across like cases, right? You don't want some ad
Yeah,
hoc
sure,
hodgepodge.
sure, but I'm speaking more of like
Launcher ammo.
a concept of equity that goes beyond merely a rigid structure. I'm a big equity guy. I believe that there are while rigid structures are good in a lot of ways, I think there are times in which they are not
Right, so,
beneficial.
So getting into the facts right now and me talking about what I think he lied about is going to confuse our actual test, whatever our framework that we want to apply is. Because right now, the reason I'm throwing all these hypotheticals is to try to build out a structure before we apply the facts. I want to know what, this is why I get so frustrated with people who are like trying to say this is all stupid. Is it would be like going into a legal analysis without knowing what the test is and trying to apply it. We need to know what the test is. We need to know what our rule is, you know?
You sure? Yeah, fair.
So that's why I'm saying, like, that's why I'm trying to keep us to the dialectic that we're doing so far. What we have so far is the hypothetical in which there are a bunch of people who are saying bad faith criticisms and lies about a creator. And you just said, right, you wouldn't support as ethically correct lies in response from the creator. So that would be, you wouldn't support that. You would say that was wrong to do. You know, just because Denim's lies about you, you don't think that it's justified to lie about her.
What? Okay, all right. Maybe listen. Okay, not me. Okay.
And that is, I think, if that's the case, I'm going to give you a kind of greater includes the lesser argument, which is if it's not even justified to lie in response to lies, how would it be justified to lie about a lawsuit, assuming you did, and then file that lawsuit again for all the for things that are collateral to it? It seems like the greater includes the lesser. One of them is just lie, which you say is unjustified. The other one includes a lie, but then it also includes a lawsuit on a collateral issue for which the person doesn't care about the underlying infringement. It just seems like the greater includes the lesser there.
Hey.
You understand?
I'm not sure I follow you. I understand what your argument is. I'm just trying to not follow you to that conclusion. I think that lying regarding your motivations for bringing a lawsuit, I don't know how much ethical way to put on that compared to lying about a person specifically.
Well, I mean, really? I mean, like, so lying about something trivial about that person as opposed to lying about the major thing you're bringing a lawsuit. I mean, I don't think that you can.
I don't know. I don't know what value I don't know what harm is being done by a person lying about why they bring a lawsuit to the public when the public has no entitlement to the knowledge of why they brought the lawsuit. That's kind of a lie where it's like, what's the
harm? What's the harm in lying to the general public about
why I'm bringing a lawsuit against another personal party? I think it's totally appropriate for people to lie about why they bring lawsuits all the time. Of course.
You think it's appropriate?
If someone walks up and asks,
you think it's appropriate to lie about why you're bringing a lawsuit?
Do you think it's appropriate to lie to the police? Yeah.
In general, no.
Wait, hold on. Yes, it is appropriate to lie because it could cost you the lawsuit. That's why. If the truth contains a compromising answer that would fuck you over completely in the lawsuit, why the fuck should you tell the truth? Truth, right? I would imagine like that is absolutely. Wait, hold on. Oh my god. Like if you were to give a PR statement, you wouldn't want to give the truth sometimes because like, what if the PR statement is going to be used against you in court? Like, what the fuck? Of course it's going to be. This is why you have your lawyer speak for you, right? That's the entire point of having your lawyer speak for you, is because you can't trust yourself to actually speak in front of the public, right? Why else would the lawyer like be in front of the camera instead of you, right? It's because the lawyer doesn't trust you to be in front of the camera. Well, my name is Pisco. I'm so bad faith. Yeah, go ahead. Spit your shit, Pisco.
You think it's appropriate to lie to the police?
So stupid, bro. So stupid.
Personally, by telling the police the truth, all right? Come on. If
you can just say nothing.
Why is bringing a lawsuit? He could get hard. You could. Hey, guess what? H3, it would have been a better move to say nothing.
In virtue of what would it be better?
Lying about his lawsuit.
In virtue of what would it be better?
My tacos are here, I think.
Because you shouldn't talk publicly about lawsuits that you're undergoing. especially ones in which people have a vested interest to try to undermine and harm in ways that are against your interests. So telling the truth or lying publicly would have been was a worse move than saying nothing. This is
I don't understand how. So, like, by this view, like, why would it be wrong for Hassan to lie about Collargate?
Why would it be wrong? I mean, I think that one is more about.
I'll just ask you: was it wrong for Hassan to lie about Collargate?
From Hassan's perspective, no. Hassan's perspective, no. I'm willing to. You know what? From Hassan's perspective, he has reason to cover it up. Okay, if he wants to decide that lying is the best way to get through this scenario for his own self-preservation, yes. Is that the best strategy to use to get through a drama? No. I think it's better to own it from the very start, and then that's it. I think it's better to own it from the very start than it is to get caught lying and then get caught with a shot caller. I think it's better to tell the truth and at least keep the part where you're truthful. Yes. Okay? However, from his perspective, his judgment call, you know what? I understand why he did it. Okay? Because he's a fucking insecure piece of shit. Alright? He just earns the right for us to call him an insecure piece of shit. That's it. Okay? Welcome to life. And consequences, motherfucker. Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's pretty clearly wrong for him to do that.
Okay, was it wrong for Hassan to lie about how long?
Ooh, I don't like how Kafka. Kafka, you're probably gonna watch this afterwards. There are multiple points in this where I think that you're doing a fine job. By the way, okay, I just want to say that, like, you're doing all right, okay. But I think that there are some bullets you can bite on that could make Pisco fucking shit his pants. Okay, not just piss his pants, shit his pants. All right, there are some bullets you can definitely bite on that would make him panic. Okay,
He was detained by CBP.
Yes.
Was it wrong for Ethan to lie about, if he did lie about, the motivation of his lawsuit?
I mean, yes,
Hey,
but I'd
I
say
just met you.
I'll say yes. I won't give you qualifiers. I'll say yes, that if we want to get into the differences, we can, but I'll just say yes.
Okay. So it is a self-standing wrong. There's no, like, unless there's some overriding good reason to lie.
Me no likey.
I will admit that there are some lies that are justified. I'm not saying every lie is unjustified, but unless there's a good reason to lie, we're going to say in general lying is wrong, right?
Oh Lord. Oh no. Kafka. It's okay, Kafka. You'll learn.
Sure.
So it's not enough to say, well, you lying about the lawsuit or lying to the police. That doesn't make it, that's not by itself a good enough reason to lie, just because it relates to lawsuits or it's to the police.
Right, but in both scenarios, I would sit there and wait to hear the justification before saying whether or not it's wrong.
So assuming Ethan did lie about his motivations, what would be the justification for it?
There's a very large amount of people online that he feels like are endangering his ability to make money, his physical health, his mental health, his family, his reputation. So
and that
being
justifies
honest with
lying
the public,
and that justifies lying if he did lie?
That could. It very well could. He might have reasons to think that doing so was to his benefit, and it would justify him lying about it. Yeah.
If Hassan sued Loanerbox or copyright infringement and lied about why he was doing it, would you say the same thing? And Hassan thought that Loanerbox was generating, like, hate brigades at him and generating
in the realm of speculation about whether it was ethical or not, yes, I would say I'm going to withhold judgment on whether or not it's ethical or not until without pretty concrete proof that there was no justification of him doing that.
No, we would say it's wrong. Of course, it's wrong for Hassan to do that. We would say
for him to lie about it.
Yeah. I mean, so Loanerbox almost certainly has infringed on Hassan's copyright. Agreed, right?
He has.
Bro, I think you can make a pretty damn good argument for lying in front of the general public, because the general public is usually out for blood, and there is no truth that you can give them that would appease them. And people who like you already will already like you, and people who hate you already will already hate you. If anything, I think that you can easily make a justification that as a celebrity or as a really public figure, you're justified to lie because, to be frank, the people who want to hear you already, like, again, right? Like, people already divide into these two camps. There's nothing you can do to change that. And to be frank, like, it's just one thing after another, isn't it? I don't know. It's just a little silly, I think, but whatever.
Hasn't, or he
No,
has?
he
Meow.
almost certainly has infringed on Hassan's copyright from a legal perspective.
This is just
Please,
I
Klein.
don't engage a lot with Loaderbox's stuff. I will
Okay.
grant, yes, sure.
Yeah,
I don't
okay.
know. He seems like a great person. I just don't engage a lot with his stuff.
I like Loanerbox. I like Loanerbox. I like Hutch. I'm a lib, all right? I'm a fucking lib. But apparently I'm the
For
last
sure.
samurai lib, principal lib somewhere. Anyway,
What? No, you aren't.
So
Come on.
Loanerbox is almost
Wait, are you implying that Loanerbox isn't the principal live? Okay, fucking weird implication there.
certainly
All right,
infringed on
but
Hassan's content. If Hassan sued Loanerbox and then said, I'm doing this to protect and to bring in like the proletariat revolution or something, and so he's clearly lying because any loser knows that a single copyright infringement isn't going to bring about the socialism, right? If he did that, we would all say, what a
Where are
what
your
a lie.
tacos?
That's wrong.
my tacos are for me to enjoy because I'm gonna end it right now because it's 12. Okay, I love you guys. Hold on, I'm gonna see who to raid into. Who do I raid into, guys? Because this is too long. It's too long. I do appreciate it though. Whatever. Sorry. I love you guys though. Okay. No, Goku only streams on Fridays. Okay, like today's a Monday. Okay. Right into all the RuneScapers. Oh. Okay, rating this person called warm ups. I have no idea what they are. I don't care. Okay, I love you guys. Take care.